What's going on, everybody? If you're seeing this page, that means the official Taurean Rain Reloaded merch store is now available. To get access to the store, make sure you go ahead and click the store tab on my YouTube channel. From there, you will be able to see all the merch that is available. We have mugs, shirts, hoodies, joggers, and so much more to come. All original designs made by yours truly, Taurean Rain Reloaded. Now go ahead and get your merch today, and you can feel nothing in style. Many of you are probably looking at this person on your screen and have no idea who this is. And don't feel bad, because up until the day that I received this article, I didn't know who it was either. But he was involved with something that we are familiar with. So this man's name is Joe Harding, and he was the author, or I guess you can say the person who drew up the infamous Don't Say Gay law down there in Florida. So you know he's in cahoots with Ron the Snowflake. But he's a former lawmaker. I don't believe he's still in his position. But the reason why he's going into the Operation Protect the White Boy Hall of Shame today is because he was convicted of fraud involving the Wuwu 19 funds. You know, like a long laundry list of others who've been involved in the same thing. But the protection for him comes in is because of the amount that he was sentenced to. This man was only sentenced to 4 months in a federal prison for what he did for fraud, and he collected quite a bit of money. I don't think he collected as much as some people we've talked about before, but still nonetheless he collected it fraudulently. So I'm gonna go ahead and read this article from this website called them.us that was posted October 23rd, 2023. The lawmaker who authored Florida's Don't Say Gay bill was served 4 months in federal prison for fraud and money laundering. Former Republican State Representative Joe Harding was sentenced in U.S. District Court in Gainesville last Thursday, according to the Gainesville Sun. He was initially indicted for wire fraud, money laundering, and making false statements in connection with the Wuwu 19 relief fraud in December 2022. Specifically, Harding received more than $150,000 in pandemic relief funds that were intended to keep small businesses afloat, submitting numerous loan applications for quote-unquote dormant businesses. Although Harding initially claimed that he was not guilty, he pleaded guilty in March, with prosecutors dropping 3 of the charges in a plea deal. Harding was ordered to turn himself in to police by noon on January 29th. His 4-month sentence in federal prison will be followed by a 2-year supervised release period and a $300 fine. This man only has to pay $300 in a fine after he stole $150,000. I personally believe he probably took more. That's what I personally believe. In a press release from the Department of Justice, U.S. Attorney Jason Cootie, who announced Harding's sentence, said that the theft of any amount of taxpayer funds is inexcusable. However, the defendant's deceptive acts of diverting emergency financial assistance from small businesses during the pandemic is simply beyond the pale, Cootie said. Today's sentence both punishes the defendant's criminal conduct and should serve as a significant deterrent to others who would selfishly steal from their fellow citizens to unlawfully enrich themselves. You know, that's, like I said, that's a slap on the wrist. He's only getting 4 months, and he only has to pay a $300 fine. This lines right up with what the welfare king Brett Favre is doing down there in Mississippi. Just stealing money because and don't even need it. I bet this Joe Harding person, especially with the position that he was in, he should have enough money stored somewhere, you know, for a rainy day or for whatever the case may be, to want to steal money from those who actually need it. But like I tell y'all, this is the American way. What does Harvey always say that this establishment was found on? Theft, murder, violators, and it's something else that he says as well. But it's a like a cauldron, a stew of dark energy that's just in the mix there when it comes to this kind of crime and criminality that people will commit. And I think what makes this even worse is the fact that they're taking from people who actually need it, but they don't care. Because like I said, greed. I always tell you about those 7 deadly sins and how greed, in my opinion, is linked to the other 6. That's why I always say greed to me is the deadliest of all of those sins, if you really think about it. Harding was elected to the Florida House of Representatives in 2020, representing the 24th District in Southeast Florida. He introduced the Parental Rights in Education Act, known as the Don't Say Gay bill, in January 2022, which bans discussions of academy topics from public school classrooms. Harding even went so far as to introduce an amendment to the bill that would require educators to quote-unquote out their students to their families within 6 weeks of finding out about their gender or sexuality, and he later withdrew the amendment. Since Governor Ron DeSnowflake signed the Don't Say Gay into law last March, the law, which originally only pertained to classrooms from kindergarten through 3rd grade, has been expanded to cover students through to the 12th grade. Similar laws also have since been passed in 6 other states, which are Iowa, Indiana, Kentucky, North Carolina, Arkansas, and Alabama, per the Movement Advancement Project. And that's the entire article right there. And I think the reason why the article really hammered into that last part that I just read outside of the initial topic of discussion is because I think the article I read from is from a website that is Academy ran. So of course they were going to really focus on that part towards the end. That's very interesting. And you want to know what's even more interesting? I find that a lot of the lawmakers who pass those kind of laws like that end up having something going on in the background that gets exposed later. I don't know if anyone else has picked up on that, but that's something I've noticed over the course of time, whether it's they are on the down low or maybe they're, they got a whole secret life. In this man's case, he was being a thief and stealing money. It's always going to find something that is wrong or something that is there. And if you also notice too, a lot of the times the people who do pass those kind of laws that quote unquote discriminates against the academy happen to be PC men, yet they want to say black people are the quote unquote most homophobic. Make it make sense. I keep telling people they can say that until they blue in the face, but it's not black people that's passing these laws. This is where the academy should speak up. I'm sure they probably have. Not saying that they didn't. But those who haven't, this is the people you should be going after. It's easy for you to go after black people because they may not quote unquote agree with your lifestyle. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, them not agreeing with your lifestyle does not hurt you. What this guy did right here, whether you agree with it or not, it's directly affecting you. But we know many of them are not going to go against the grain because it's easier to go after black people because that's what society says to do. After all, it's the quote unquote American way. But yep, this is another edition of the Operation Protect the White Boy. Again, it's not as extreme as ones that I've recently done that have involved actual physical violence that have led to near death or actual death. But at the end of the day, he's protected because him doing what he did, that's one thing. But the fact that he's only getting 4 months in jail when he should get way more for what he did. And it makes me curious, what were the 3 charges that they ended up getting dropped from the plea deal? Because they didn't mention in the article what the 3 charges that got dropped were. I'm curious to know if I could ever find out, or maybe someone can let me know what were the 3 charges that got dropped. Because I truly believe that's what would definitely reduce his sentencing. He only getting 4 months. Wow, 4 months and have to pay a $300 fine. He's going to easily get that. And he just has to keep his nose clean for 2 years. They can only bet that he'll mess that up and he'll have to go before a judge again. But I won't hold my breath.